Hey everyone, welcome to this brand new series called Conversations, where we're gonna have conversation with top entrepreneurs, and we're gonna talk about sales, marketing, and entrepreneurship to get you started on this journey. Now, this is our very first episode, and my name is Gavin. I'm so excited to be here today because I have an amazing friend in Melvin with us today. And because this is the first time I'm going to be doing this series, and the whole reason why I created this is because I want to have real, authentic conversations about sales, marketing, and entrepreneurship, and I want the kind of no BS answers. And the first person that came to my mind was actually Melvin Soh from X Factor right here, And just to put things into perspective, the first time I met Melvin was actually in one of our mutual friends' seminar office, where Melvin was actually sharing with us about goal setting. And I was like, it's just goal setting. How different can it be? How much more new can goal setting be? But when I went there, I remember it was 2018 going to 2019, right? And it blew my mind because the way Melvin has structured how to do goal setting for the upcoming year was so different from other people. And to be honest, I benefited a lot from that one sharing. I think it was 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 2 hour sharing of goal setting. And because of what Melvin shared, I laid out a lot of goals, and it changed my whole 2019. In 2019, for the first time, no, seriously, man, Melvin. So I'm going to share with you right now. I mean, we didn't talk about this off screen, but in 2019, my company, we had a breakthrough. We raised more than $400,000 in funds to kickstart our other business, and we started a new agency business as well. And now we are doing, it's not huge figures, but it's good enough to sustain me and my partner as well as their parents. So we are living the lifestyle of our choice right now, and I give a lot of credit to this gentleman right here, Mr. Melvin Soh from X Factor. So you know what? I'm not gonna be blowing his trumpet for too much. I'm just gonna pass the torch over to him for him to actually introduce himself, because this is an amazing gentleman, and you guys who are fortunate enough to be watching this right now needs to listen to what he has to say. So Melvin, over to you.
Hi guys, what's up, man? I'm very excited to be here. Clinking glasses with Gavin right here. We are some swanky office. We got a little bit of beer here.
Yeah, serious.
And very, very simple. I'm a hardcore full-time marketer. In my spare time, I actually conduct workshops together with my good friend Ken, and we actually conduct high-ticket masterminds and really transform people's lives over an entire year, where in a holistic fashion in every area of their life. So actually, I'm excited to share with Gavin and all of you folks, right? If you're wanting to change your life, you want to change your marketing, change your business, make more profits, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Awesome. Thank you. So before we move on into the topics of sales, marketing, and entrepreneurship, I guess many people who are watching this, they might not know who you are actually. Could you share a little bit of your backstory of how you get started?
Awesome. So today, my partner and I, we actually have Enlightened Profits, X Factor Marketing. Our company name is Enlightened Profits. It's very simple. The reason is because we believe definitely, profits part everybody understands. We want to help people make more money.
Yeah.
But the Enlightened part is one thing that's very passionate for me. Enlightened means we want to help good people make a lot of money, and later we'll discuss this. Why it's important to be a good person, right? We want to have good people that can actually deliver on their promises. That's the kind of people we want to help through marketing. We specialize in helping speakers, trainers, consultants, at the same time marketers also be able to grow their business. Later we'll talk about that in terms of leverage, why we help only these specific groups. Sometimes direct sales people come and find us, real estate, insurance people, and also service providers like interior designers, they come and find us, we help them also. But it wasn't always this way. Today we really get to work with some of the top entrepreneurs. I'm telling you, virtually a lot of folks who are in the marketing scene in Asia, around the world, and also seminar speakers. They're very big names. They have all been either coached by us or are being coached and mentored by myself and my partner today. It wasn't always this way. I wish I could tell a more glorious story, but I really have been doing this for quite a while. I look pretty young, but at age 20, I tell you a funny story. At age 20, I read a lot of biographies. So I just ask people this: what do Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Michael Dell have in common?
Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Michael Dell. They all had a mentor, I'm assuming?
They had a mentor, they are rich, but they all have one thing in common. They all dropped out of college. So when I was age 20, I read a lot of these biographies, and I thought to myself, there was another gentleman, his name was Jim Rohn also. So I read all of these, I listened to all their tapes, and I realized they all were saying the fact that they dropped out of college and somehow managed to find their way and make a lot of money. So I thought to myself at that point of time, really naive, at age 20, I said to myself that the secret to getting ahead is to drop out of college. Now, seriously, I kid you not, I said I want to drop out of college and I want to start my business, right? So I told my mom, and I had very good grades. I went to Hwa Chong actually, and I got good enough grades to go to Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard even, and get all government scholarships. So basically, A levels I got 4 A's and all the distinctions. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So, but I told my mom, hey man, I want to drop out of college. Then she said, siao, then what are you going to do? Then I said, I want to be richer. Then I asked her, what does Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Michael Dell have in common? She said, what? I said, they all drop out of college. You think? Then she said, siao, you think you're Bill Gates? Right? But within a short months, a few months after that, I just didn't go back to school. And then I decided to do my business. Then I realized that there's more to life than dropping out of college. I realized that I knew nothing. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about sales. I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship, about networking, about finance. Nothing. I knew nothing. All I had was ability to somehow talk. But it's not like in school there's entrepreneurship class. I could do oral exam, talk to people, but that was it. And I had no skills. So imagine now, the year is 2008. 2007, 2008.
Okay.
And I am 21 years old. I am now not attending school. I am now on my own with no skills attempting to start a business. I know nobody knows me, I have no contacts, I have no real knowledge, and I have no real product. So what happens for the next 6 to 7 years, is 7 to 8 even, is nothing but struggle. Because I had no product to sell, didn't know how to do it, made every single mistake. I must have not read the biography part where they talked about the skills involved. I only read the front part where they said they dropped out of college.
Read only the good stuff.
Yes, there is more to life than quitting school. You need skills, and I seem to have missed that lesson. So what happened is I had to learn all these skills by pain, not even by heart, by trial and error, by pain. My entire life has been learning a lot of lessons by pain, and what I do in X Factor class is teach people lessons I learned by pain. Sometimes people say, oh, can I not learn this? I say, sure. You don't have to come to the class. You can learn it by pain. That's how I learned it. You can learn it by 100 rejections. You can learn it by doing sales presentation and having nobody buy, which has happened to me before. You can learn it all these ways. You can learn it by public humiliation. That's a fantastic way to learn. And I learned all it. Yes. But I managed to persevere through all of that and learn all these lessons and discover all of these. And I want to share with all the good people here some of the lessons I've had along the way. It's painful.
Wow, but you persevered for, if I didn't get this wrong, 8 years.
7 to 8 years. There's a couch in my parents' house. I slept on that couch for nights and months and weeks, months, years, wishing for a better life. I would sit on the couch and work on my internet business, whatever the heck they were. I didn't know what I was doing. And it went nowhere. My maximum amount of money I made in a month was about 800 to maximum, sometimes $1,000 a month. And a few times my mom told me to, I stayed in Bukit Batok at one time, my mom told me to go to West Mall, and the second floor there was a Chinese restaurant, and she told me to get a job as a dishwasher. Because in case you don't know, a dishwasher makes 1,600, and there's free lunches. And quite a few times she told me to go and do that. And the reason is because, not because she thought it was pleasant, but because I was making so little money and struggling. Sometimes I eat 1 meal a day.
Yeah. And
she was like, man, this guy is like, and I'm not like super young. At that point in time I was like 26, 27. And then she was like, come on man, what are you doing with your life? I'm just going to be a dishwasher. I'm going to do something. Get out of the house. Stop lying on the couch, working on this business for years and years and going nowhere. So that's actually the entire story. It's kind of tough.
So from what Melvin has shared with us, he had great grades, but he made the choice to actually step into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most amazing things that struck me right now, I didn't know this prior as well, so same as you guys, is I didn't know that Melvin had to go through this for 8 years before he actually got to somewhere.
Yeah.
So what facilitated the change? What happened?
I think it's very important. First of all, I made a track of all the lessons that I learned, and more importantly, I got a mentor. So today I want to talk about 2 things also. One is about the context, and one is about content. Right? Later we can have a conversation about content, which is some of the marketing skills that I learned. But context is very, very important. So context is the way you believe, is the things you have in your life, the people you have in your life, and a lot of the limiting or non-limiting beliefs you have about yourself. So if you have never done something before, let's say you have never climbed Mount Everest before, when you talk about training for Mount Everest, you have no idea whether you can get there. You don't actually believe you can get there, so you've never done it before.
Mm.
And so when you go and trade, what are you trading for? Nothing.
Okay.
When you embark on this journey, you have no idea what to prepare, and you don't actually believe you have done it before. Why? Because you have never done it before. You just have no clue.
Yeah.
So what I didn't know during that period of time is I call this concept when I teach X Factor marketing, I call it the power of the third. If you have never done something before, you need to leverage on either a plan or a person who has done it before to get you there. You see, if you've never been a millionaire before, and right now you are trying to be a millionaire, forget it. You never know how to reach there. You know what? You've never done it before.
Yeah.
You don't know the steps. You don't know whether it can be done. You for sure never done it before. You don't know how to do it. But if you leverage on a person who is right now a multi-millionaire, he can tell you, brother, I can teach you how. Follow my steps. And you leverage on this person and his plan. Also, you leverage on his belief, because he knows I'm a multi-millionaire, I know it can be done. And so, at the start, if you've never done something before, you need to leverage on something else. Okay, if you have done it before, then you can rely on yourself. At the start, there's no such thing as self-belief. Why? Because, hello, there's what kind of belief? You've never done it before, right? So if you've not done it before, where do you get a belief from? That is the biggest thing that a lot of people have. They say, oh, you need to have self-belief. No. If you've never climbed Mount Everest before, your self-belief is useless. Because what's there to believe in yourself? You don't even know what the heck this is. So at the start, you want to have somebody or something, some plan to guide you. That's the power of that you leverage on something else that is proven. Then you just follow that in order to get to where you want to be. So my turning point came when I actually took up coaching, took up mentoring from my mentor Marshall Thurber and many other mentors during that period of time. I said, after trying it for 6-7 years, I said to myself, Melvin's method is not working. So I said, you know what, this year let's try something different. Let's try Marshall's method. Let's try a mentor's method. And that completely changed my life. You know, because a mentor, when you leverage someone who has done what you want to do before, first of all, they bring with them a few things. Number one, confidence is like, I have 100 million, you want to make a million, can be done. Right? So you have no belief, but you can leverage their belief. I don't know when it can be done, but he sure looks like he knows how he's doing. Number two, you can leverage their plan. Because they're like, oh, I made 100 mil, for sure I can show you how to make one mil. Just follow my plan.
Yeah.
So you can leverage their plan. Then you can leverage their wisdom also. You can leverage also what? Their context. Right? So the moment you find yourself a mentor or someone who can coach you, right, you just surrender and you let them help you. That was very important. You know, I reached a point during a period of time where I was willing to be helped. Because I was so broke and it's been so long. So I said, you know what, screw this. If I can find this guy and he's willing to help me, fuck it, let's go. Let's have him help me. Okay. And that willingness to surrender is very important. You know, a lot of people, there is no purpose getting a coach or a mentor if you don't surrender. If they tell you to do plan A, but you go, I want to do plan B, and you have not done it before, then you are an idiot. You know, that's critical. In our coaching program for X Factor marketing, right, we teach people how to grow their business to millions and multi-millions. It's very crucial. We take people who are open and coachable. It's not even people that have money. Because if they are not open and coachable, it's like, I tell you to do plan A, I have done this before. I tell you to do plan A, but if you don't and you do plan B, and you have never done it before, of course your plan is going to fail. You know, and if you're not open and coachable, then there really is no point. I was open and coachable, not because I really was, a desperation. Hunger makes people very coachable. Not always, but it certainly made me. So.
But you definitely don't look hungry right now.
Oh, well, you know, you can afford a gym these days.
So, I mean, this is, I'm not sure if you guys are ready. I mean, I'm writing all the notes as well, and I've really gotten so much from Melvin just from this two things. I'd like to bring this back a little bit because I think that in one of the many videos or motivational talks that I've been watching around or online these days, people are always talking about self-belief. You need to believe that you can and you will get there. But I think what Melvin has just shared with us is a bit controversial, it's a bit contradicting, but the idea is, the very fact is that if you have not done it before, yes, you can have the belief, but you have no idea how to get
It's not even the belief. There is no belief. Believe in yourself, but yourself has no idea how to do it. So what are you believing in? You're believing in a delusion. That's the key. You see, if I've lifted 100 kilos before, then let's say I'm out of practice, but I go, you know what, I've done it before, I can do it again. But if you have never lifted 100 kilos, then you go, I can do this. Where do you get the belief from? You've never done it before.
That's like gonna be just...
That's delusion.
It's delusional, it's blind faith, it has no basis.
That's fantasy, yes. You know, if that's the key. You see, I learned this. And actually, a lot of the videos I watch now, the folks actually, right underneath, you can hear this. I forgot, was it Gary Vee or one of the top folks, right? I watched this video. Someone says, I want to build $1 billion company. the first question you want to ask a person is, have you ever built $100 million company? No. Have you built a $10 million company? No. Have you built $1 million company? No. Have you made 100K at least? No. You're not going to get $1 billion, dude. You see, if you have done 100K before, 1 million before, 10 before, 100 before, then we have some basis of saying, hey man, he might get there.
Yeah.
But if you have never done any of these things before, where is the self-belief from? You are not self-belief, it's delusional.
It's about setting realistic
Yes.
goals and targets.
Right now, I believe that I can reach 100 million. Why? Because I have reached a certain level of progress. So looking ahead, I know, hey man, it's a matter of steps, I can reach that. But if I've not even made 10 grand, me believing that I can, that's no belief, it's delusion. It's fantasy.
Yeah.
You can have the dream, but that's not self-belief. That's critical for people to understand. One of the things we teach at X Factor is realistic. You need to be realism. It's important to have goals.
Yeah.
It's crucial to have dreams. But after you do all of that fantasizing, you need a plan. We are rooted in realism.
Yeah.
You know, if you set up a shop and you law of attraction think 100 people are going to come in your shop, but you have no advertising, no plan, these people are not going to magically appear. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to be real.
Exactly, man. So guys, no BS right here. Be realistic. I mean, it's good to have dreams, but you need to have realistic dreams. Do not have
Yes.
fantasy. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna do you any good. So lesson number 1 that we have gotten, most important, I think, as of till now, it's like blew my mind away. I need some beer to cool down.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
I mean, it's just this short conversation, and there's really so much value here. And the second thing that you mentioned about was being coachable.
Yeah.
Being able to find a mentor, and whatever the mentor actually shares with you, you need to have that belief to actually go through the plan. Because your mentor has been there, done that. He or she knows what works. And when he or she tells you what to do, you better get it done.
Yeah.
If you're not going to listen to your mentor, I don't know, what's the point in getting one in the first place?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Melvin, thank you for sharing that with us. So after you met Marshall and your mentors as well, your life changed. Then what do you do? What do you start? What brings you to where you are today?
I think the first thing that Marshall helped me with was perspective. You see, Marshall is a great business strategist. He's not a marketing and salesperson, just straight up, right? But Marshall brought with him the context, that belief, that confidence, that vibe of having worked with billion-dollar companies. Have you eaten Ben and Jerry's before?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you know that Ben Cohen, Ben Cohen, who's on the band in Ben and Jerry's, he was just an ice cream guy in Vermont in the 1960s. He met Marshall, and Marshall taught him how to take his ice cream he was making in his kitchen, scale it up to $1 billion company.
Wow.
So if Marshall can teach a guy how to make $1 billion+, do you think he can help me make 100K? Of course.
Definitely.
What is 100K, man? Let's just be real. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So Marshall looked at my entire business, told me I was doing it wrong. So I wanted to give very specific advice, what he was telling me during that period of time. We actually translate that to our folks in our X Factor marketing class. The first thing he said is, at the end of the day, there are a few things. There's a product and a commodity.
Yeah.
If you engage in product and commodity, you are right now in a price war.
Yeah.
Why? Because there are always countries in the world that can launch and deliver the product in a far cheaper price.
Mm.
In Singapore, if you're in product and commodity, you are out of fucking business. Very simple. Why? Because our cost of labor here is very high. You see, in Vietnam and in China, they can make whatever you make here. Roughly the same quality. Quality, you never know. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
You never know till you open the box up.
Yeah.
But they can make roughly the same thing for 1/10 of the price or 1/100th of the price. So immediately here we sell $10.
Yeah.
They sell on Taobao $1. We're out of business already.
Mm.
You see, and the moment you engage in price and commodity, it's a price war. It's a fight all the way to the bottom, and we will never win that in Singapore.
Mm.
There is a website called Fiverr.
Yeah.
Whatever you choose to do, right, you can get someone to do it for $5.
Yeah. I use it quite a bit.
Right?
Nice.
And imagine if you want to make 10,000 a month, how many jobs you have to do
Mm.
to make $5 for $5 jobs? You have to do 2,000.
Mm.
2,000 divided by 30, Gavin, is 70 things a day. You will never get done. You work until you die, every single day without break. Then you'll make $10,000, but you will die. That is a product and commodity. What Marshall taught us is, at the end of the day, one of the big lessons I learned from him is how can we deliver an experience and a transformation for people. An entire experience, entire transformation, that is called context. That's one of the big things I teach at X Factor. Context. How can we design attractive context so that people regard what we do as valuable? Later we'll talk about value, because a lot of people want to sell for higher amounts. They want to sell to elite clients, and elite clients buy context. Very, very critical. You see, Rolex, and people think they're in the watch business. Nonsense, they're not in the watch business. They're in the status business. You see, if they're really in the watch, or even some people say the time business, that's nonsense. Gavin, you own a device in your pocket that can tell the time. What's it called?
It's called a mobile phone.
It's called a mobile phone. Do you see? The moment the mobile phone was invented, everyone can use the mobile phone to tell the time. We don't need a Rolex, right?
Yeah.
You see? So you must immediately understand anyone that wears a watch is not wearing a watch to tell the time. Because they have a mobile phone to tell the time. So they're wearing the watch, right, for a reason. Now what is the reason? For Rolex, it's prestige.
Yeah.
It's for status. It's to demonstrate, hey, you know what? I am somebody. And it's critical. So this is our socially accepted context. When a person wears a Rolex, we think they are prestigious, they have high value. Why does this happen? Later we can speak more about this. But the reason is because the human brain requires a shortcut. If I don't know you, I need to look at symbols to decide whether you're somebody or nobody.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things that I decide is like based on dressing. So if you're wearing a suit, it's like, and let's say the suit has a name, a brand, Hugo Boss, then I go, wow, he must be somebody. Not because I know you, but my brain needs a shortcut because I don't have the time to get to know you entirely. So I go, Hugo Boss, he's somebody. Nice watch, he's somebody. Okay, high value.
It's the route one kind of thinking.
Yes, and that's how all brains operate, especially in attention deficit places. So that's another thing we can speak about. But one of the things that Marshall taught me was to change my business into transformation and experience. The moment I change it into transformation and experience, then I could charge higher prices. Okay, one of the conversations we will have later is about value, right? Because now I became more valuable. So instead of people paying me $5, $10, and me working to death helping them, I started to get retainer clients at thousands and thousands of dollars. Like for me to break out of my cycle of making $800 to $1,000, I just need 3 to 4 clients paying me $3,000 to $4,000, and I could break out of that very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and in a short amount of time, I experienced a huge transformation from making $800 right to 8,000 and even 5 figures. I said, oh shit, this is absolutely possible. That was when I realized, oh my god, this is kind of powerful, right? So I did that for a year plus. I made enough money to not eat one meal a day, to do pretty well. And after a while, I decided also that as I was doing this business, I decided also that why not I want to bring Marshall to Asia, and then kind of started the whole business of us helping people with the future of business, and also led to us meeting a lot of wonderful people and coaching people in this area.
Wow, awesome. So guys, lots of our golden nuggets there already, and I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the idea of context. So I don't know if I'm getting this right, but it seems like the idea of context, apart from experience and transformation that you mentioned about, I think before we even get to the point where we can talk about value, is it that we need to create that perceived value of the person who is doing the sales, the presenter, to even let people accept there's such perceived value first before we can even move on to the next stage? Is that, am I getting it right?
Okay, so one of the things we teach at X Factor, right, is critical. You see, everyone has different perceived value. Right? So let's go on a slightly controversial thing here, or a slightly a little bit less politically correct tone. Okay. When it comes to meat, right? So meat. For you, do you eat meat?
Yes, I do.
Do you like a good steak?
I do. I love.
You love a good steak, right? So let's say I say this is grass fed, this is amazing steak, it's cooked by a great chef. What's the max you'll pay for it? Like this is NBS, Marina Bay Sands quality steak. Maximum money Gavin pays for steak.
Oh, the maximum I paid before for a steak was $300.
$300, okay? Wagyu, this is even better. Wagyu, Michelin star, I don't know what's the max, 2, 3, what will you pay? This is like your birthday, or you're feeling generous, once in a lifetime, how much will you pay?
Wagyu A5 in Japan, I would probably pay maybe $500.
$500, great. So now it's great value for you.
Yeah.
Right there, is seated a vegan. How much is the steak worth?
Sorry, say again?
Seated a vegan. He's a vegan guy.
It's worth nothing.
Zero!
Yeah.
Gavin, what did we just learn? We learned that first and foremost, even before we decide on all these things about perceived value, who perceives? People, very important.
Yes.
One of the first key we talk about at X Factor Marketing is deciding who our prospect is. If you are not clear who your prospect is, that vegan guy, same steak, he said $0. In fact, he would throw the steak away and probably curse us because we eat meat and he's all about veganism, maybe his spiritual belief or the fact that he thinks that cow farming is causing global warming. So for us, the steak not only has no positive value, it has a negative value. You see the steak, you get angry. You see the steak, you get hungry.
Oh yeah.
So you realize, so what do we learn? What is the concept? The concept is the steak.
Yeah.
For you pay $500. For him, he curses us.
Yeah.
What's the diff? The diff is what? Different people, first and foremost. Perceived value is not common.
Okay.
You can't sell pork to Muslims.
So
you can't sell meat to vegans.
So this is back to context, and the context needs to be right in the
person. Who is the person perceiving this? You see, our internet marketing community, entrepreneurship community, we sell great information only if the person is open to marketing and entrepreneurship. If the person is happy in the job, he will regard our industry as very low value. What are these people doing? Why do they always do seminar? Why? For that person, the normalization of what success means, the normalization of what value means is very different. Different places normalize different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so for us, we consider information, wisdom as valuable. For other people that do not want to grow, they consider a book like this. Don't give me a book, give me money. Right? But we take knowledge. You see, so our perception is very different. So the first key is who are you talking to? And you must understand how they perceive value. Very critical. Then after you understand how they perceive value, then you start to create something that matches their value proposition. So never create anything of value until you know who the person is and how they perceive value. So I'll give you an example. I'm wearing a singlet today. I'm kind of a guy that I value hard work, discipline. I value a person who has wisdom. I don't particularly value, because I have too many clients who come to us and they have a lot of outward displays of wealth. So I'm not very impressed by folks that have fancy suits or $50,000 watches. So if you wear that to impress me and put a Lambo keychain on the table, I wouldn't be impressed, because I'll be like, so, right? But if you told me the fact that you have been through a great amount of discipline, you have taken yourself to a level of mastery, I would be impressed by that. But my partner Joe is a big collector of watches. And so if you have the watch there, he will think you're cool.
Okay.
You see this?
Yeah.
So you need to understand who that person is and how they perceive value. Critical. Before you start displaying elements of value. Everybody skips this step.
Okay.
Very important.
So once we are able to create a context, we have the context, we need to understand what this context is for and who it's for.
Who it's for, very number
Who it's
one.
for. And once we figure out who it's for, that's when we can talk about creating the value proposition.
Exactly. Only after you figure out who this is for. Remember the meat example. You eat meat.
Yeah.
Steak is great for you. Running ads to vegans for steak is suicidal, no matter how good the steak.
Okay. So I assume we are going to move on to the next part, which is going to talk about value.
Yeah.
I'm sure this now. So Melvin has this fantastic program called the X Factor Method program. So he teach fantastic stuff. I mean, all the things that he's sharing with us right now is just the tip of the iceberg that he actually shares in the program itself. So I'm going to help you guys to do a little bit of digging here. So Melvin, just now what you shared was very powerful. So we were talking about how we could actually have all these things all string together, and I kind of have an epiphany kind of moment where I was thinking, so prior to, because a lot of people talk about the product, the content itself, but they don't talk about how they have to look at the front end, having the context before even they can move on to content.
Yeah.
But what you had just shared, it actually allows me to think in this sense where, I have the context, it allows me to attract the right people to consume my content, and after they consume my content and I deliver it so well, and then I'm going to have this community, right? And then it's like a cycle by itself. It's going to generate so much more business, so much more referrals. It's going to help you grow immensely, especially if you are someone who is starting out new. So that's something that we really want to talk about. So how do we string all this together?
I think it's very important. The first thing you want to look at, right, is you are absolutely right? I mentioned just now, the most important thing you need to look at is in terms of context. The very important reason why you look at context is because majority of the time when you buy something, you don't consume the product then pay. If you actually did that, then you will be in the content business or in the product business, right? Because you have a great product, people eat it, people use it, then they pay you. Not very few businesses are like this. In fact, they pay first. So what are they paying for? What are they paying for is all intangible stuff. So designing a context that brings in the right people is critical first. In fact, that's all that people buy at the start, right? We talked about cookies. There's a cookie shop here, right now in level 2. You go and buy the cookie first, right? You pay first, you don't eat first, you pay first. So you pay for what, right? We're going to come back to that. You pay for what? Intangibles. Then after you pay, then you eat the cookie.
I have no idea what I'm paying for. I think it looks pretty okay.
You're paying for the branding, the hype, the image they're putting out there, the perception, all of these things. Gavin, these words are all intangible. After you pay, then you eat the tangible. A seminar is the same thing. You're paying at the start for a person for credibility, his confidence, his certainty, this kind of thing. Then afterwards, right, months later, then you take the program. So at the start, always remember, that's what we help people at X Factor do. That you gotta design a context that is appealing to the right people you want to bring in. We spoke about meat and vegans. Different context appeals to different people. It's very critical. Some of the things that you want to take note of. That's why I say always put the prospect first. Because different prospects have different core values. Different prospects have different desires. Based on their core values, their desires, things that are important to them, then we get determine whether whatever context we create, is it attractive to them. Make sense? If a person is vegan, what context would they consider attractive? Well, maybe they're vegan, they're spiritual, maybe they don't want to harm animals, maybe they are peace-loving. So a context created that will be attractive to them would be if we push an angle of peace, if we push the angle of nature, if we push the angle of community and we are better together, that's what they will like. Does that make sense? Now, if a person who is very aggressive and always operating in a, I want to be a champion, they might consider this weak.
Yeah.
Different people have different contexts. You see, context differs from person to person. That's why something you think is valuable, I might think is of low value. I don't particularly think having a Rolex is very important to me. You know, because I consider different things important. My partner thinks having a Rolex is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You see, so in that regard, we differ in the value perception. Like if you were to give me wisdom versus a Rolex, I'll take wisdom anytime. My partner, I don't know. You might consider different things. That is the difference. Therefore, in this entire world, value is subjective. So understanding that. So with the right context, they come in. Then they consume your content, which is in this case your product. Whatever business you're in, the product. Right? And after they consume the product, if the content matches the context, which means the hype is real, the promise is real, the advertising is real, then now there's one beautiful word called congruence.
It's all C's anyway, do you realize?
You promise something, you delivered on that promise, people go, man, this is good shit. And what happens when people actually realize, oh my god, this is real? We live in a world that is very illusory. We live in a world where there's a lot of promises made, a lot of Insta filters, a lot of this kind of thing, and people, there are a lot of social media stars where once you actually get to know them, you realize a lot of their lives and a lot of their achievements are of lifetime. But when the hype matches the promise, something beautiful happens. People go, man, it's a real deal. This guy actually knows what the heck he's doing. Then number one, they renew. Because we all want certainty. We all want congruence. Right? And the moment we meet someone who's really solid, we go, man, this is a real deal. Right? That's what the clients experience when they work with us. They're like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's the real deal. We make money with his advice. So therefore they stay on. Because people want real. In a digital illusionary environment, real is very important. There's so much like stuff you see on social. Sometimes you wonder, which of this is real? Which is not real? Can I believe this? And when we actually meet something that's real, you're like, man, I want to hold on to this. The second thing that happens is that they refer and renew. See, I went to the washroom just now. I checked my phone. Our clients have referred 2 new people. Just one of them, just casually over lunch, they just say, hey, you need to attend Melvin's expected class. Right? And they're coming back themselves also. One of our speaker clients, right? She is a very big name. She cleared her entire schedule just to re-attend our class where she said, hey, this very valuable. That's what happens. People want to come back, people start to refer, and then this whole thing builds up in a very positive hype. It really helps your entire business. So what are people taking away? Number one, figure out who are you serving. Right? We covered that. Don't do the dream avatar exercise. Look at who you're attracting right now. Then number 2, look at what these people consider value right now. How are you able to create a context that they consider valuable? Then when they come in, are you able to deliver? Oh, that's number 3. Deliver. Then later encourage them when 2 things, the promise matches the product. When this matches, they have congruence and certainty, encourage them to what? Renew and refer. Step 4. You do these 4 things, you never be broke again. How's that for practical?
Wow. You know, guys, if you just listen to what Melvin had just shared and these 4 steps that he just shared with you guys, go out there and execute it. I'm sure your business will really improve by leaps and bounds, right? And I think on behalf of those who are watching, who may not have a business, who have no idea how to do it, because when we talk about the target avatar earlier, you were saying that because for case in point, like myself, I do have clients already. I have people who are coming to me, so I could like do what you say and ask them, you know, why do you choose me? Why do you choose to work with me? But for some of those who may be watching and they're like, I'm new, I have no clients, I have no idea what I need to do. Is there a way? Is there advice you could give to these people to help them find?
That is my favorite market actually. I won't say my favorite, one of my favorite markets, right? The first thing is if somewhere is in that place, the first thing I'll ask them, screw all marketing advice. Let's talk about context first. Number 1, is entrepreneurship what you want to do with your life? First of all, a lot of people somehow think this is easy. No, it's not. I mean,
No, it's
I had
not.
a client ask me recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had an X Factor marketing class, and we have coaching clients. The coaching client asked me, hey man, Mel, this takes a lot of work. Sometimes I have to sacrifice time out with my buddies and really build my business. Do you have any advice for me? I said, bro, you want to make money, right? I mean, so what do you expect this was going to be? Like, you just expect to push a button and then money comes out. Like, first of all, if you want to start a business, first thing first, understand this is hard. Okay? Like, anything worth doing, anything worthwhile, being a champion is difficult.
Yeah.
If you don't understand that, then everyone will be a champion. Make sense? So if you're in the gym putting in the work and you're like, man, I'm sweating a lot, understand, that's kind of the price you pay. Gavin, one important lesson before people dive into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to write this down. There is no free lunch. Okay? There is no free lunch. You want to be a millionaire? That's what you want to get in return, right? Then you got to give value. That's worth $1 million. Because in exchange, we'll give you a currency worth $1 million. So if you're not interested in giving $1 million worth of value, which requires hard work, by the way, then you won't get $1 million. Right? Because how do you get money? It's value exchange. I give you this, you give me that. You want currency, that's called money. But you need to give people something. So if you don't want to give, then you're not going to get it. Right? Because the world works in exchange. You see, the only way you get without giving is called robbery. And bad things happen. No, think about it. Because the bank robbers, they steal. Because why? They take the money, they take the currency, but they give nothing. And usually what happens when people rob? Then they get caught.
Yeah.
In modern day economic society, if you take without giving, you don't last very long. And all the money you take will be removed from it. Think about it. If you steal or you scam, which means you don't give, you just take. Sooner or later, even whatever you take will be removed. Think about it. Isn't it beautiful? Right? So if you want to take the money and keep the money, you better give the value. And if you want to take a lot of money, then you better give a lot of value. Does that make sense? So the first key, when you're starting out, is you need to understand, is this going to be, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to create the value? At the start, you don't have much capital, contacts, network, etc. So you must create value for people. Could be whatever. It could be baking cakes, you see. Baking cakes, right? I bake a cake for you, Gavin. I have the right contacts, etc. And I give that to you. That's my value to you. And in exchange, you give me maybe $50 or $100. That's called exchange. So if I'm not willing to bake the cake, you're not willing to give me a $50 or $100, but that will be a donation. Or there will be robbery or scam. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if a person wants to make a lot of money, first thing ask yourself, are you willing to give a lot of value? Are you willing to do the work? There is no free lunch. I cannot take without giving. First key. If you're not willing to put in the work, then don't be an entrepreneur. You can do a job. Because in a job, you exchange your time and your effort for money. If you like stability, then do that. That's critical. Have that conversation with yourself. Because why? Is there risk involved in entrepreneurship? Is there?
Plenty.
There's risk involved. Is there hard work involved?
Lots of hard work.
Is it easy?
No.
Right? I mean, at least when you have a boss, you just do what the boss says and it pays you, right? And now when you come out and be your own boss, do you sometimes make mistakes? And very often when you're starting out, make mistakes.
Lots of it.
And in business, when you make mistakes, does it cost time and money?
A lot of time and a lot of money.
So Gavin, you see, there is no free lunch. So before anyone wants to start business, have that moment with yourself. If you're not willing to pay, if you're not willing to sacrifice, if you're not willing to do that, stay in the job. Just, I would say, learn investing, haha. So,
Value investing.
yeah, but if you're willing to do that, then ask yourself first and foremost, what area of value can you give people? Is it a product? Can you create a product? Is it knowledge? It could be that, right? They are tangible and intangible. Are you great at creating a product? That's awesome if you can release that. Or else, what intangible, right? Knowledge you can give people. Alternatively, if you cannot do any of these, but you find somebody else with a great product, then you can provide value in the area of what? Selling that product. You can get really wealthy, really rich by helping people sell things. Okay? That's what insurance agents do. They are providing value, so they deserve a commission. Why do they get commission? Okay, think about it. Why do they get commission? They provide value. The value they provide is the syndication and the spread of this particular quality product. Think about it, right?
Yeah.
Because the product on its own in the AIA office doesn't sell.
Yeah.
They need a person out there.
Service
Exactly.
They provide after
Service, these are the value they provide. So when they provide this, they tell people about it. They get the interested people to sign up. They help the people. In exchange, they get rewarded.
Yes.
This whole economic society is a value exchange.
Yeah.
I give you something, I get something.
Yeah, that's right.
If you take but don't give, you don't last long. You'll be jailed.
Yeah. So guys, there is no free lunch in this world. Right? We just got to say that again. There's no free lunch in this
No free
world.
lunch.
If you're looking to do something, the first thing you need to understand is that there's no free lunch in this world, and everything that we do as entrepreneurs, even as you're working, right? It doesn't matter whether you're employed or self-employed. It is always about value exchange,
Yep.
right? It's just that as an employed person, your value exchange is that you're giving up your time in exchange for money. So there is still that value proposition. There's an exchange. For us, it's about creating that value and then providing that value to people so that we earn, in the case perhaps money, right? And then there's that value proposition that we give out.
Absolutely.
And if you're not prepared to put in the hard work to find out what value you can give, then I think what Melvin is trying
If
to
you
say
don't find out and you don't give, you are not gonna get. And you deserve it. You deserve to be broke because you are not helping people. That is critical.
So guys, this is straight up, no BS, right in your face, telling you, we're not trying to discourage anybody, we are not discouraging anybody, but I think it's very important and it's one of the values of why this series called Conversation has started, is because we want to provide you straight up answers so that you know what is required of you, and then you can go out there and do what is needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do not want to sugarcoat stuff and say that entrepreneurship is the thing that you should be doing. You know, this
No,
is
it's
the
kind of
line.
hard, guys. It's really hard. You know, there's sacrifice involved. But there's no free lunch. You know, if you want an easy life, then you will not get certain perks.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to put in the work, then you will get certain perks. But there are things that you pay. Like I know it's either way. It's like, Gavin, you want 2 plus 5 or 5 plus 2.
Yeah.
It's you gotta pay at the end of the day. I mean, there's that. You know.
Everything has a price.
Yes.
Everything has a price.
Yes, they all have a price. It's not free. That's the thing. If everyone understood that, am I willing to pay the price?
Yeah.
If you're willing to pay the price, you will get a reward. You don't want to pay the price, you get something cheaper. That's it. Be happy. Either way,
Yeah.
it's fair.
It is. It is. Life is fair in its own mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we touched on that earlier. So
Yeah.
I hope that helps to answer for those of you who are just starting out. It gives you some form of clarity in what you need to understand even before you start on this journey. Because if you don't get that clear, I think it's gonna be a downward spiral, and we don't want that for you. So thank you, Melvin, for sharing that. The next part I think we want to move on is to talk about, because previously we talked about context, then we move on to content, and then about the community. And I believe a huge part about the content is the kind of value you can provide to people.
Yeah.
So how can someone create massive value to people? How can I under promise, over deliver? How can I match the hype that I create for my context?
Very, very simple. Understand. Okay, so let's go back to the idea of value. Right? If you give people value, you get currency. I don't like the word money. You get currency. The reason I don't like the word money is because you don't actually get money. You know why? We don't have a world money system. You get Sing dollars. In some other country, you get euros. So wherever country, sometimes you can get Bitcoin. It's all currency.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, when you provide value for people, you don't get money. You get currency.
Okay.
Depending on what country you provide, you get the currency of the person there. That's what we give. Not money, currency. So in exchange for currency, you provide value. Now, what does a person consider value? Because that's what you're really asking. What is a product? At the end of the day, what is a product? Right? Because how does a person consider this product valuable? Think about it. Very
Something
simple.
that can help me solve my problems?
Yes, and that is exactly it. That is the fundamental of all marketing. See, I train a lot of marketers. I always ask people, what makes something valuable? First thing, a person has a problem. That is what makes something valuable. A person has a problem and you can solve it.
Yeah.
If this person has no problem, you can't help them. Like Gavin right now. If you starve it for 21 days, my chicken rice is worth $5,000 to you. Why? Because without that, you will die. But Gavin, if right now you just ate chicken rice and you are full of chicken rice, my chicken rice right now is a pain in the ass. You don't want to eat it.
Even if it's $1.
Yeah, don't care what Michelin star, you don't care. You cannot eat. You see or not? So why? What differs? Chicken rice was the same. The difference is you. In one case, you had a very big problem. In the second case, you had no problem. That is highly, highly critical. The moment you can help people solve a pressing problem, you have value. If they don't have a problem, your product doesn't solve a problem, they have no value for what you have to provide. Now, we might have coronavirus. Classic example. Give you 2 examples for how this works. Coronavirus and haze. Remember this one time in Singapore, many years ago, we had a PSI go up to 300-400.
Yeah, school stopped for a day or two, I remember.
Right?
Yeah.
And the N95 mask at that point of time went up to $30 for one damn mask. Makes sense. Actually makes sense. Why? Because why? Pressing problem. Without mask cannot go out. So if you don't have a mask, you're like thinking, oh shit, should I want to go out? But if I don't have the mask, I might die. Then it's like $30 versus dying and having lung cancer, you will pay. On an average day, PSI 12. Will you pay $30 for a mask? No. You know why? Because you don't have a problem. Right now you go, whatever. Only if I get 10 boxes, then I pay $30. What's the difference? One case you have a problem. Now, mask in Singapore. No coronavirus. Who the heck buys that surgical stuff? You give to people, they also say, hey, come on now. Why you give me this? I don't have a flu. Why you give me now coronavirus? The mask, the box of masks. Yeah. Oh, that shit goes up to $20, $30, $40, $50.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Pressing problem. That's what makes something valuable. So when you are able to solve people's problem, that's when you have value. So what do you look for? Right now, find a target audience. Solve their pressing problem. When you can solve their pressing problem, that's when you have value.
Okay. So the thing is that because like in my area, like I already have because we don't want to imagine a target audience, right?
Yeah.
So what I have to do, I guess this is like what we have to do, right? Including you who is watching this right now, is that we have to find out who is already buying from us.
Yeah.
And we have to identify all these people, and we have to identify the
Two
common
things.
team.
Why do they buy from us?
Yeah.
Which is the context. What is their problem?
Okay, why do they buy and what is their problem?
Yes. Someone's buying from you for a reason. Number one is because you can solve their problem, and number two is because there's something about you that stands out to them. There's a context. So the moment you can discover these two things, you understand already. You understand what, in my class, we call the X factor. Of course, there's a lot more stuff we cover, but you understand your X factor already. What problem did you solve? Why they choose you of all the other problem solvers? That's the key. The moment you nail that, bang, and then you know already, that is my X factor.
Why they choose me and what is the problem?
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming this as well, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So on behalf of you guys and myself, I'm going to ask this question. So when people choose me, the answer that I want to get is definitely not because of my price.
You could get the answer. You see, you never know. You never know, right? Because for some of the clients, they are not running their business correctly. But if they hear price, they know already. They really need to revamp their entire business. There's one of the things that we help them with. Because price is the last thing you want to hear. Because that basically means people say, I don't care about you. I didn't come to you to be cheap. Man, that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. That's like having a girlfriend saying, hey man, I just chose you because you're easy. Or like you're working in my office. How's that a good answer? That is not a good answer, man. That is a horrible answer.
Yeah.
You know, so if that's the case, you need to find different clients. You need the whole expected process. But sometimes, very often, you will hear people say, hey no, there's so many people out there, I like this about you, da 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 da. That's when you hear, you're like, oh, that's what makes me special.
I see. Awesome, guys. So remember, how you could actually do this, especially for those of us who are just starting out, is that you really need to find out what problem are you able to solve.
Critical.
And after that, you have to discover
None of these must be imaginary. Have you watched the movie The Pursuit of Happiness?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. The Pursuit of Happiness is a very simple story.
Yeah.
I know it's a great story about Chris Gardner.
Yeah.
And Chris Gardner basically overcame all odds and basically, he went from broke all the way successful. Let me tell you a different perspective of The Pursuit of Happiness. If you watch the movie, you understood that he took all his money to buy a bunch of stuff he thought was selling.
Medical stuff.
Yeah. And he lugged that shit around. And he couldn't sell it. What was his biggest issue?
He thought that people would want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. So for the context of people who are not watching who have not watched the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness is a movie by Will Smith. Go get it.
There's a man called Chris Gardner, right? He had a dream to be rich. He spent all his savings buying a bunch of things he thought people wanted. What he discovered is they didn't want it. So when you hear that he was broke, why was he broke? He took all his money to buy a bunch of stuff. So what happened in the movie? He had to carry all this shit that nobody wanted and move it around. Do we hear that in e-commerce? Yes, we do. We have warehouses full of stuff that nobody wants to buy. You got a bunch of guys who have printed a whole bunch of books. Nobody wants to buy. You have the house full of merchandise. Nobody wants to buy. When you do that, you imagine they have a problem. You're going to pay. Because what if? This is what the imaginary exercise is. You can understand why it's so damaging, right? Yeah. You imagine a person who has an imaginary problem.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, it is wrong.
Yeah.
Now you're broke. No, now you're not even broke. Now you spend your money, you're in the red.
Yeah, in debt.
And now you have a house full of this shit that you can't get rid of. And then you're like, oh man, then you go home and you got 5,000 boxes of this shit that nobody wants to buy. Now you can't get rid of it, right? And now you are in the red. Now you every day, now not only can you not sell it, you have to find a place to store it. Usually they store it in their house. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Live it real. live in realism. Find an existing, paying, pressing problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat, existing, paying, pressing problem. Solve it. Or else you will pay by having unused merchandise in your house, stocking up, taking up space. As you scratch your head, wondering, now you're saying 100 grand into this shit, wondering how am I going to sell this? The only people that will buy it, Gavin, are your friends and family. Not because they have even a problem, they want to support you. So now, you have 5,000 on this, you sold 7 to your family and friends. Now you got 4,993 more, and now you just go out the market and go, bro, you can help me run ads, I need to sell this shit.
But even if you run ads,
they're not going to buy.
yeah, no one is going to buy because no one wants it.
Sad. And how many times do we see this?
Plenty of that. And guys, by the way, this is a real story. It's the movie. And I think it just reiterated what Melvin has shared earlier. There's really no free lunch right here in entrepreneurship. Even regardless of what industry, what niche, what thing that you plan to do. Because if you don't even get this thing right, you don't even get the pressing problem right, to find out what people need and what people want, you're not going to be making money. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody wants it, you're not going to make a single cent.
What I stand for is realism. The reason is because I have been hungry before. You see, you cannot read personal development books, right, and imagine law of attraction and get food. You know, I did that before. Food didn't magically appear. You know, I live in realism, right? Because all this imaginary, all the hype, all that kind of like fantasy and dreams, that's great. By the end of the day, if you don't solve a real problem, you're not going to get paid. And I was really hungry back then because I was not very good at solving real problems. You know, and trust me, when you start getting real hungry, like really hungry, and you're like, you start to become very real. You're like, hey man, is this going to work? Like, you know, I don't want to do BS, I don't want a theory, I don't want a fantasy. Am I going to get paid? Is this going to work? Is it a real problem? Are they going to pay for it? You know, and no one wants to start a real business. You need to ask yourself, there are two kinds of entrepreneurs. Okay, there are entrepreneurs and there are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are people that solve real problems and they get paid for real. Entrepreneurs are people that solve imaginary problems and they imagine that people will pay them. Decide, you want to be an entrepreneur, real world, get paid for real, or you be an entrepreneur where you imagine and solve problems that people don't have, and you know, we talk about that, it's real cool, you appear in the media, but you don't get paid. The number of people that are entrepreneurs these days are a lot. Entrepreneurs solve real problems. And because you solve real problems, you get paid for real in currency.